Dear Venerable Sir, Dhamma friends, we are going to start another session of question and answers, and we'll start as usual with the written questions, please.
Dear Bhante, you spoke of a beginner's mind in your talks. Could you please elaborate what is meant by a beginner's mind with metta?
There's one book called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Suzuki. It's a very, very famous, specifically among the Western practitioners, because it indicates unassuming quality. Always you have to behave like a beginner. Whenever you going to have some kind of experience, its tendency is to expect the same experience next day, then definitely you end up with a disappointment. But if you are daily applying yourself as a beginner, no assumption. The unassuming quality, it's a very, very important, specifically I would say in Vipassana meditation. And therefore, whenever you develop beginner's mind, you become innocent and you become humble. It's a very difficult thing. Very difficult for elderly people. For young people, they are always anyway beginners. Whenever you become elderly, very difficult to. So therefore you have to make a striving, determine to make beginner's mind, unassuming mind, as much as possible.
Most Venerable Bhante, when I do sitting and walking meditation, very often my inner chatter touches my childhood. At home, it never happens to me. Although I can get back to my primary object very easily, I am curious to know why it touches mainly my childhood and not the recent past, with metta.
It depends, because whenever you reduce the influx of information, influx of impingements, influx of objects, the mind is very active. It is maintaining its activity. So what is doing is, it is catharsis. What is pent up in the inside is about to come out. Otherwise you are giving so much of impingements and signals and objects, so therefore there is no chance. Only in meditation and in dreams or sleeping, the influx reduces, then outwardly it is going to go. So that indicates what are the things pent up in your mind, and what are the things unexpressed or repressed in your mind. So it's a kind of a healing, it's a kind of a catharsis. That is what happens in free association or counseling for medically or mentally upset people. So this is the natural free gift of mindfulness. When you try to be mindful and reduce the number of objects, and whenever you are focused to one single object or reduce number of objects, then mind's going to froth. It is coming out. This you have to understand. This is who really you are, not what you are exposing. It is some kind of a camouflage, but that is what going from evening to the next day morning, or by the death to this life to the next life, this is the thing. If it is coming out, you can do account balancing. Otherwise, they are pent up. So let them come as much as possible. Don't be choosy about this is why, this is not, why not. Anything coming out it's a good sign.
Venerable Bhante, can you please explain the gap? Is it the gap between the end of the in-breath and the beginning of the out-breath, or the gap between the end of the out-breath and the beginning of the in-breath, with metta?
The gap means GAP, that's all. Whether you apply to the in-breath, out-breath, or rising and falling, whatever may be. If you are to travel in the tube in the US, UK, it says, mind the gap, and otherwise you can fall into the drop. So mind the gap. That's all. That is what you call mindfulness meditation. Everything, there's a kind of a come together and appear like a one unit, but when you observe properly, you can see a lot of crevices. So these are the things we call gaps. It is not limited to any particular object.
Dear Bhante, I am confused about how Sila is practiced here in Theravada Buddhism. Why are things such as how a woman wears a shoulder cloth or whether she wears trousers instead of a skirt considered so important here? Why is the ethical treatment of animals and the ethical treatment of women in regards to equality not considered as important in the practice of Sila? Why are these very ethical aspects in conduct not included in the practice of Sila? With thanks.
It depends, of course, that according to the traditions, according to the centers, according to the teachers, they interpret what is their norm. So the norms are changing from place to place, time to time, and person to person. So therefore, whenever you are going to go to a place, you have to ask what is the norm of that particular place, and you have to fit into that rather than asking why. Because they are the people fixing that the precepts as such is not to kill, not to steal, and not to have sexual misconduct like physically. But in order to have it, there are a lot of shades and nuances. And besides precepts, the guarding of your senses, to have indriya samvara, according to their own taboos, according to their own cultural patterns, different societies have different taboos or different norms. So that you have to adhere to that. Very difficult to have a universal, single culture throughout the geographical differences and the time. So only thing is, you must understand, you must go to a place where you can easily fix into, adopt into. Otherwise, as a beginner, don't go there because you will be torturing yourself. And if you can fit into that, later, quite later, you may understand how it is helpful for you to have a acclimatization and smooth access, smooth introduction. So therefore, very difficult to reason it out. Why this is yes, why this is not. Only thing is, you have to see your adaptability and learn the compendium of rules pertaining to that particular place and see your adaptability. If it is coming along, okay. Otherwise, we have no rights to ask why that so there, why it is not here. That very difficult. Our likings and disliking, our choice changing so quickly, place to place. Don't expect such a universal criterion in sila or in restraining of your faculties or your moral shame and the moral fear. It's very sensitive.
Most Venerable Bhante, I have been going through very troubled times lately. Illness in the family and other mentally very taxing problems. Solving them are mostly on my shoulders. I came to this retreat leaving behind all of that, but they are waiting for me back home. Therefore, in sitting meditation, although primary object is always available to me, inner chatter goes hand in hand. I am not in conflict with that situation thanks to your guidance that it cuts kilesa. However, this has hindered the development of the short spells of nothingness that I experience. How important is it that the episodes of nothingness expand in quality and quantity? As advised, I am observing the elements quite well, I think, but I wonder whether that deviation of attention to the elements may have prevented the settling in of nothingness to a more stable level. May I please know the importance of reaching a more lasting state of nothingness, and accordingly, may I please know how best to facilitate such a lasting state of void. Your guidance on this will be greatly valued. Thero Sarana.
I wish to thee you are blessed, because you can understand immediate effect of meditation, because otherwise your mind is completely taxed with these family problems, economic problems and responsibilities. And if there is no such a pivot, if there is no such a benchmark, if there is no such a reference point, nowhere. So now you at least you have a benchmark or reference point or your primary object. Now you can explain amidst of all the responsibilities, midst of all the unresolved problems, how frequently you can go to the primary object. And not only that, sometimes it is so seasoned, primary object also ceases to exist. That indicates your power of mindfulness, and when you go there to this silence or spacious place, you are free from the household problems or tension or frustration. You are free from the maintenance of the primary object. Now you're in the space, and increase as much as possible, because whenever it is coming out, these things are waiting to attack you. The simile given in the text or canon is, when you are struggling in a sea, swimming, and you can find a small dry area or island, and if it is available, you know how much you appreciate little dry lands, because you can go there, you can free from this attack of the waves and swimming. So therefore this island is your here and now, here now I am, or the primary object, or your posture, or if it is very good, that is space. So be there as much as possible, but sometimes waves are washing you. So therefore, whenever such a burning question available, for a yogi, it's a real eye-opener. Otherwise, you do meditate as a side job, or part-time job, or as a hobby. It never, you get the impact. You really get the impact when there's such a burning question. So therefore, share as much as possible with the other yogis in this discussion. It is very enlightening, because you can see here and now benefits. And your worry is about the future benefits and how it is spreading. So therefore, if we are not in the space, if we are not in the primary object, if you are not in here and now, you know what is happening. Invariably they are coming. So, being it is so powerful, still you can go to here and now. No, nothing hindering. That directly dependent upon your faith, your energy, your mindfulness, and these things are the raw materials or proximate factors develop in this, at the face of this throbbing, demanding problems. See how much you can be faithful on here and now. How much repetitively you can apply your mind to here and now. How much you can be mindful. Simply expect that mindfulness is liberation. No harm. That simple mindfulness itself is liberation. That is why you liberate from that burning problem. Don't consider this as escapism. Don't consider this you are avoiding it. You are making very innocent system, and to apply yourself into the here and now, and whenever it is not there, these things are going to torture you. So, whenever you have that kind of reference point and pivotal point, you are not the same person going back after the retreat. Completely different person. You can consider them as to make yourself alert, vigilant and diligent, and how frequently I can go to the primary object, even for a split second. There so much so, you have an adventurous task. Please continue. You will receive direct worldly results under your very nose, if as far as you are not considering this throbbing problem as bad thing. Keep it like that. Maximize your mindfulness as much as possible.
Most Venerable Swami Vahansa, I have been continuing to watch the elements, and the most recent experience was that pain comes in waves, like gentle waves reaching the shore. They too are very rhythmic, just like everything else in the body experienced so far. The waves of pain reach the points of the paining body part and break there like sea waves. I noted that the pain is very tolerable when watching the waves, But no sooner the mind focus is taken off, this pain intensifies to the point of wanting to take immediate steps to change position. But when I focus back and the waves appear again, the pain becomes very bearable. I have also noted the different beats to the heart. Unlike the usual dub-dub we are used to, the beats are very different to each other. Those are my recent experiences with regard to the elements. Your advice would be greatly valued. Much merit to you, Swami Mahansa.
So, whenever what you call Nama Rupa, the mentality and materiality, boil down to utmost, it can represent at times as particle, at times as waves. So, Newtonian physics, talking about the particles. And therefore, they calculated the gravity and attraction, everything. But later on, they split the split slot experiment indicated that sometimes these are representing as waves. When they become waves, the power transmission is completely different. That is how the Einstein physics came into being. Then only Einstein found that equation E is equal to mc square. So you can find the relationship between E means the energy or wave, and the matter is, mass is something material. You see the relationship between the mass and the energy. With the factor to the square of the speed of the light. So whenever you reduce your experience to the Nama Rupa or boil down to the primordial form, as and when it arises, it can appear like sometimes like a wave, sometimes like particles. So whenever it is particle, that is the way our rational mind knows. But it finds very difficult to cope up with waves. Whenever wave happens, their transmission is rather with the quantum physics, and they find it is non-local reaction. And there are some very strange behavior whenever the energy come into being. And more you experience this energy mode, less and less you become egotistic. You cannot find the ego, because it is become just energy. You can't find the center. You can't find the crux in energy. In matter you can. That's why we are always with this particle physics or particle energy. So whenever it is going to the waves, you are changing into the Einstein physics as an example. So therefore, we can say our left brain is working with the particle physics, right brain working with the energy waves. So right brain and left brain, just like a divorced couple, they never talk each other. They live together in the same skull, they never talk each other. Always the left side, just like males, dominating the right side. Right side never get any chance to talk about, because it is very domineering. When the meditation goes, when both of them are calmed down, occasionally the right brain going to speak. Then you can see the end of the pain. Usually you get agitated and carried away by just appearing of the pain. But whenever the right brain is ready to see, it can see the beginning, the middle and the end. And it can see the energy waves. And it is very aesthetic. Sometimes very romantic. Even the pain. You can get a distance from the pain and you can understand as a second person. And then only you can understand within you two characters. The rational mind and this holistic mind. So if you are not meditating, you may start with the rational mind and you will die with the rational mind. You will never make use of the right hand side, and therefore you never live at least up to 50%. You only use very little amount of brain power. So most of the rest of the part is brand new, even at your deathbed. It says for the politicians, 100% brand new even now. They've never used it. They're asking for secretary to use it. So more and more you get the gadgets, more and more you get the equipment, your brain functions are reducing, so ultimately senility and a lot of problems happen. So therefore, let the mind to understand not only it is communicating with this particle way, it can communicate through the wave pattern, and wave patterns are completely different. So when it happens, you feel like you become mystic. You feel like you are irrational. So that fear arises. So if you know it, definitely you will facilitate and you will let it happen to see the beginning, middle and end. Ultimately you find all the extrasensory faculties, everything is within you, unless otherwise you suppress it. You suppress due to the fear. Fear of unknown, fear of new. So meditation Buddha, they not only are adverting to the mind, to the primary object, you must have faith. You must have morality. You must have concentration, mindfulness. With all the three only, you develop this boldness, you develop this radical reflection or irrational way of behavior, that is radical behavior. So without that, meditation never progress. They have to go in hand. So therefore this is good.
Dear Bhante, when one is mindful and doing sitting meditation for a long time, thought ceases and then defilements do not arise. Please explain vitikama and anushaya kilesa comes out. In deep samadhi, sometimes past incidents come out rapidly. Goja Dhanava. Please explain this process with metta.
Usually it is like when you calm down, it is like the patient anesthetized on the operation bed. It is the obsessional kind of defilements are suppressed. So therefore there is no chance for such a person to commit any crime physically and verbally because anesthetized. But when he get up, his potential to commit violations still there. Even though he's anesthetized, even though he's not doing at that moment, the potential is there. So sometimes the meditation you can see, even though you are physically and verbally calm down, even your mind is face to face your primary object, and you can see internally the possibility, the potential of the desire, potential of your hatred, potential to be lethargic nature, or ignorance is there. Sometimes they appear in a brilliant way, something like in a dream. So therefore, if you are very sharp, if you are very vigilant, if you are very diligent, if you go prepared, even the concentration is there. When you are mindful, you can see your tendencies, latent tendencies, how it works. It is like a very person is looking at his own subconscious. Usually the consciousness never allow you to go to the subconscious. That is how the normal day-to-day life. In meditation, you are making a tunnel from the conscious mind to subconscious. When you go there, you can see what is stored in the subconscious, and you don't know. By day-to-day activity, there are some precipitations. They go and they settle down there, quite undisturbed. When you look at, you can see whatever the net result of your good things and bad things are precipitated. In sediments, you can see. And that is the one going from one night to the next night, one life to the next life. So if you can look at it, if you see, then the Buddha says, you have the potential to get rid of it. If you do not see, whatever the technique you are using, whatever your desire, never that can be gotten rid of. So, janato bhikkhave passato asavanam khayam vadami. So you have to see the sediments. Then only you develop the potential. So you must have the boldness to look at it or see it and not to get upset. but have some desire, chandan janeti, vayamati, viryang arabati. So you have to develop a zest. I must get rid of that. And then vayamati, try, give a try, and put forth energy. And then find techniques and kind of thing. So this observation is just like diagnosis. The proper diagnosis of a disease, then only you can prescribe the due medicine. So behave, meditate in such a way, more and more these underlying tendencies will come. The good part of the news is, when and where you see, by your mere seeing, they get rectified and evaporated. That very seeing is so powerful under your very nose. So therefore just seeing means you are naturally weakening them.
Most Venerable Bhante, most of the time I am mindful of my walking meditation. At times my mind goes astray for a moment, but it's realized and can get back. After commencing this meditation, in about 15 to 20 minutes time, I feel very sleepy and start walking like a drunk person after liquor. There are days I experience that, like I was thrown away from the track to its side boundaries from time to time. Please advise me to continue meditation, the next step that should be followed, with metta.
If the difficulty or problem is related to this swaying nature or sleepiness or lose the control, or rather we can say sleepy, that is because your desire and hatred suppressed now. Whenever they are not there, you are sleepy. Whenever you are bright, wide open because of sex or because of the hate, when there is no two of them, you are very sluggish, you are very lethargic, bored. So therefore in the walking meditation you can see how quickly your desire and hatred reduces. You don't feel like walking straight, you feel like a drunkard person. That indicates how much the Buddha is correct. Whenever someone is very vivid and bright, see they are very sexy. Or they are behind some, the mercenary kind of a hatred. When that is not there, sleepiness. Experience it, go prepared and see this sleepiness is due to tired body, or need sleep, or it is because lack of defilements. If it is verily it is due to lack of defilement or due to the frequent association with the primary object, that very understanding will give another kind of dosage or boost of energy. Second dose, you can understand if you go prepared, completely different. Otherwise, you can't understand why it is that when the meditation is happening, the sleepiness sets in. Sleep is sets in because your lust and the desire, the hatred is reducing. Go prepared. When you go there, you understand meditation is so powerful. Meditation is so pragmatic. It is happening. We are not ready to accept the results because it is not tallying with our expectation. That is not a mistake of a meditation, because your expectations are wrong, your understanding on meditation is wrong, and your reaction, assuming nature is wrong, therefore the results cannot come. If you go prepared, that prepared nature never make any hindrances, never make any blockages for this blossoming to happen. So therefore, the simple answer, the simple way is next time go prepared, you will see a different facet.
Dear Bhante, after walking meditation, soon after I sat for sitting meditation and mindful about my body posture, my whole body started vibration and there is nothing there, no body or body line. Vibration is progressing. Please advise with metta.
So if it is bearable, put up with and let that whole wave to go without much involvement, without much interference. If you feel any fear, if you feel uncertainty, if you entertain doubts, then only you can open the eyes or see whether your body is there. If there is no fear, if there is no entertaining of doubts, if there is no uncertainty, just let it happen. And when you see the end of this wave action, you will be completely refreshed. You will feel completely rejuvenated because it has taken by its own accord. So therefore it is coming in order to give a fresh, new thought moment, but our unpreparedness, entertaining doubts or any fear won't allow the whole moment, whole wave to go through right from the beginning, through the middle to the end. Then the total healing process or total curing process will not be completed. So if there is no threat of fear or uncertainty or entertaining doubts, please let it happen again and again. It is like a full massage of the body. The Pandita Sadhu used to say, this is a complete massage of the body. In and out, all the organs will be refreshed.
Dear Swamin Vahansa, to achieve Sammaditi, has one got to develop Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, and Samma Samadhi to a greater extent? When one reaches Sammaditi, can it be stream entry?
Sammaditi has many layers. So stream entry also need kind of strength of Sammaditi. Sammaditi means the correct view or wider view. So Sammaditi, when and where it is happening, related to that Sammaditi, little by little, the Vipassana knowledges are happening. So Sammaditi is not directly related with the Sotapanna or first path. Each and every stage, just be, if you are a traditional Buddhist, and ultimately if you feel like giving generous thing or donation, you must have Sammaditi. And being a generous person, if you feel like observing precepts or sila, you need Sammaditi. Having generosity and sila, if you feel like going for meditation, you need Sammaditi. Having gone to meditation, if you are developing Vipassana, you have to have another Sammaditi. Each time it is sharpening, so therefore Sammaditi is not a stage, it is one shot. It is evolving thing, so therefore moment by moment, each moment you try to be mindful, you are become more and more sharp and more wider in the Sammaditi.
Dear Bhante, while doing sitting meditation, the breath disappears and I go to a calm and tranquil state. This was done over and over for months. Will this lead to space? How can one continue? Please advise with metta.
So if it is going to give a calmness state and space, just see whether you have any kind of a boredom to that. You can have any monotonous to that. Do you have any kind of a doubts towards that? Any fearfulness to that? Otherwise, let it expand as long as possible. So much so you are released. You are in a space. So there should have a certain friction. There's a boredom or uncertainty. That's why the question arises. So therefore, just see where the question is coming from. But why you are not happy with the continuity of this space, continuity of this relaxed nature, if there is no space, try your best to maximize as much as possible, because in that state, mind is undefiled. It is not associating with defilements unless otherwise you doubt it. Unless otherwise you develop kind of fear. Unless otherwise you have uncertainty. These are the doubts. These are the kilesas. Or these are the defilements. Don't fertilize them. Recognize them as and when it happens. And then you will see, you can continue with that space, and amount of questions will be reduced.
Thero Saranai. Venerable Bhante, in sitting meditation, up and down movements of air was observed in one nostril for a while, then changed to the other, mostly observed in the left nostril. In-breath touches upper part of the nostril, and this sensation is vigorous and paining. Out-breath touches the upper lip, and it's smooth. In general, observation of out-breath is rare. For a moment, once observed parallel movements of air up and down, inside and outside of the left nostril. Thoughts came and went. Sometimes imagination happened. As soon as it was realized, I felt the breathing. Meanwhile, stretched out legs. I was mindful throughout the session with metta.
So when you are observing, you can see at a time most of the in-breath and out-breath rubbing the nostril, the left nostril. At a time it is right nostril. This indicates our relationship with the climate is so subtle. Whenever you are in the cooler climate and peaceful state, left nostril is working. Whenever you are in a heated and warm climate, right nostril is working. And the opening at the end of the nostril is like a rhombus in shape. There are 4 corners. Where it is touching indicate which element is more frequently more active in your breathing. So likewise, each and every breath indicates your personality or your emotional body. If you really observe it, you can see, according to your emotions, breath is changing. Whenever the Buddha is inclining, it's always sleep on your right hand side, or he's on right hand, and then left nostril is the one is going to work. So whenever he is breathing mostly on the left nostril, body and mind is calming. And in the Indian astrology, they say you are connected to the moon. When you are sleeping on the other way, you are connected to the sun, and the right nostril is working. Even without you are not taking any kind of a posture, you can see these things are happening. We don't know. It is happening under your very nose, but you don't know. When you observe only, you can see the relationship with your emotions or with your elements, what is happening, and the climate. So these are very common facts. If you are studying, and when you are walking, whether you are walking on the left leg and the right leg is passive, or walking with the right leg and left leg is passive, indicates. And you do not know sometimes. So if you are a footballer, definitely you know which leg is working. When you are working, right hand or left hand, one thing is prominent, other is not. So these things indicate our imbalanced life. Each and every action starting from the breath, never balance. It's always wear and tear. So in order to not to see, we look at other people. If you have to look at, you can see it is a completely imbalanced thing. That very understanding is not imbalanced thing, it is a very balanced thing. So you have to understand very closely. Don't think you know in-breath and out-breath. Don't think you know left leg and right leg. Next left leg and the right leg is completely different thing. Next in-breath is to the right, out-breath, completely different thing. That is what you call the beginner's mind. You have forgotten it. You think, I know my breath, so therefore by looking at the air, who is going to get the even in a cent or rupee or dollar? Never. How can that nibbana come through air? So you don't forget, you don't value it. So, but if you are valuing, you can understand each and every action, including the breath, indicates your emotional background. So be aware. As and when the time permits, you have to learn a complete world through the simple action of breathing.
Venerable Bhante, is the nothingness you feel when you lose the breath in samatha meditation the same as what you feel when your body vibrations cease and break up after vipassana meditation. The latter is far more difficult to arrive at. Much metta.
Whatever may be, the emptiness is something relative. When compared with when you are running, the breath is full gushing. Instead, if you stand up, it's something calmer. When you sit, still calmer. When you lie down, still calmer. So likewise, that emptiness is something relative. How can you measure the emptiness of the samatha and emptiness of the vipassana? Samatha vipassana is just concept. This emptiness is something experiencing. So therefore, you never go understand this kind of thing by putting into different frames and different terms. So therefore, understand its relative nature. Make yourself empty as possible. The Buddha in the Dhammapada maybe, Sincha bhikkhu imang navang, he says, when the ship is loaded, it needs so much of energy to cross the sea. Therefore, empty your ship, and it will be floating very quickly with a little bit of breeze available. But if it is very heavy, very difficult. So whatever the heaviness indicates is full of defilement. So emptiness means you are free of defilements. It is not a hard and fast thing. It is relative. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to crucify. There's a emptiness in samatha, emptiness in vipassana. They are just concepts, but emptiness is something you can experience and make it as much as possible, even though it is difficult, as mentioned in the letter, but it is something possible.
Venerable Bhante, after completing my first retreat some years ago, I developed very strong mindfulness. Like you mentioned in your sermon yesterday, vibrations throughout my body were felt not only in sitting meditation, but during most day-to-day activities, like shopping, sweeping, watching TV, etc. Also, thoughts connected to the Dhamma came from within always. This lasted only for about 6 to 8 months. I have been to retreats thereafter, but my mindfulness is far, far less during the day. Also, the strong determination, or virya, is less. Please comment. With metta.
So these things are fluctuating. Your vigilance fluctuates, your energy fluctuates, your mindfulness fluctuates. Nothing lost forever. No permanent damage. So therefore you have to see each and every day you see different combination. You must try to exploit the situation, the changing nature, in order to maximize when and where possible. So therefore don't discourage telling I had the very first thing is the best and never I had any kind of thing. Instead you have to understand, in the first time you see the potential. This is not the maximum, but the fair potential. Now you have it. Whenever the things get aligned, it will again can happen. So be on the ball, and whenever the time permits, when the combination align, definitely you can go. And it's a simple fact. It's a fact of life. One's experienced person is more bound to get the second experience than the person without any experience. So therefore you are better off one step. Get encouraged and can continue, please.
Dear Bhante, I wish to express my gratitude to you for the guidance and instruction provided over the past 12 days. I left Nissarana Vanaya this morning with a sense of renewed purpose. The journey on the spiritual path continues. May you realize your goals in this life itself. Blessings of the Triple Gem upon you, and peace be with you.
Please take care. If everything is rosy, the danger of red is there.
That was the last. We're done.
Okay, 45 minutes gone. 15 minutes left.
Gauraniya Swamin Wahanse, the meditation that I do is Anapanasati and walking meditation. As far as Anapanasati is concerned, it's okay. very often I feel the in-breath and I feel the out-breath, and very on and off I go into a state of emptiness and I don't know what is happening. Then only thing is I get awakened suddenly if there is a noise, and then still I can go back to my meditation. Walking meditation, I have no problem whatsoever. It's quite alright. Occasionally the mind wanders and then I think of various things that happened in the past, that's all. But as far as the mindfulness is concerned, I think it's improving. It's much better than what it was before I came here. And when you consider Kama Chanda, I know what is happening. I can feel what is happening, and when something, if I get a desire for something, I know that there is a desire. And 90% of the time, I can stay without doing anything about it and then get rid of my desires. But 10% of the time I have to yield to my temptations. That I think will come, that I can recognize that I am having the desire and I'm doing this thing although it is bad. So that sort of thing is there. I am trying to get rid of this. Then the Vyapada I don't get angry at all with anybody. I don't have hate, and if I come across a person who is very bad, I just have pity on the man and not any hate towards him. I don't have any laziness, sleepiness or lethargy, no laziness or lethargy, but I get very sleepy, especially in the night when I am meditating. There is a tendency for me to suddenly fall down, but I never knock my head on the ground or anything like that, because before it happens, I wake up suddenly. And then I can go back to meditation, but I don't, because I'm scared to fall off the chair again. Then Uddacha Kukucha, the Kukucha is there. Uddacha is occasionally I get disturbed by various things and find it difficult to make a decision, but Kukucha is there. I always think of the past, things that are wrong, bad things that I have done as a child and things like that, and think of the repercussions that I might get in the future, and that is there in a big way. Vichikicha, lot of problems regarding whether what else to do next, how will I progress further, that is the thing. Then, and I find that there is Sakaya Ditti, the concept of I in a big way. Although I know by listening to sermons and reading books, I know about the 4 elements, the Mahabhutas, and the secondary elements, the Upadaya Rupas, and I know that there are Rupa Kalapa which conglomerate and then mix together in various proportions and ways, and then this body is formed and this Rupa is there, our image of me is there, and can't get rid of that. Although I know I can, by reading all these things, I come to understand that all these elements are changing all the time, and the Rupa Kalapas, some Kalapas disappear, some Kalapas come, form again, reforming and disappearing is taking place all the time, and that all these things, and the other thing is that the elements get together and form the image of us by grouping together, like collecting a lot of sand and piling it up. All these things get piled up. That Ganasanya, I know all these things, but then still the concept of I is there. I can imagine these things happening when I think about it, but you can't see what is happening. I never get any vibrations at all, like most people say they do. Please tell me how to proceed further in my meditation. Forgive me if there is any irrelevant facts that I have mentioned in my question. Thank you.
So the first impression or first thing I would like to do express is Your explanation is more towards the theoretical understanding. So it is something good, but instead see how much of your sitting time or how much of your walking time you are mindful, and is that proportion increasing or decreasing? The time you are mindful, you know you are sitting and you do in breath and out breath, or you know you are standing or walking and you are with the left and the right. Do you feel that the association to that particular moment is increasing and in proportionately?
Yes.
That's all. All the other things are your calculations. For example, you say that 90% of the desire you can see, 10% beyond your control, sometimes it is regrettable. But whatever may be, if it is reducing, if it is in mindfulness is increasing and the defilements are reducing, even if it is not detail analyzed, that trend itself is take care about the quality. Quantity will take care about the quality. So the other parts what you try to explain is not directly from your personal touch or personal experience, it is from the book. That may be something dangerous. That you have to, as much as possible, do away with.
Yes.
So otherwise, they are very lucrative. They appear very, very enlightening. But still you are in theoretical understanding or deductive knowledge. So that we, as meditators, that you must understand, you must try to recognize it more than desire, more than hatred.
Yes.
More, this is a perversion. It's a kind of a perverted. It's always boosting your ego. It's always you feel like reading and apply that reading into meditation, that then your direct touch with the present moment. So therefore the simple increase you find in the mindfulness will take care of everything more than the what you are trying to explain in theoretical sense. They are not bad, completely bad, but the thing is, for a meditator, being it is so lucrative, you will be carried away for that. But it's very important that very understanding to communicate to someone.
Yes, Reverend sir. Thank you very much, Reverend sir. May you attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, we have spent almost 55 minutes. We have around little more than 1 hour for walking meditation. After that, at 3 o'clock, we'll be meeting here for a group sitting. With that announcement, we are going to end up the question and answer session. Thank you very much for the participation.